Vincent and I'm an aeromodeller and an engineer. Join me on a fascinating journey where I show you some of the techniques used in scale aeromodelling. Well, hello again modelers. Time for another trip to the workshop. As you can see, we've got quite a bit done. So in this episode I'll just go through what we've done to get this far. Are you pleased? The last video was 30 minutes long, exactly as planned. Amazing, eh? I'll make sure it'll never happen again. Anyway, what we're going to look at in this episode is putting the matte black top surface to the fuselage. We've got some wing walks on the wings. The canopy is now silver. I'll also be showing you how I've cut open the rear side sections of the canopy and how I've made the blown sections that are going in there. I can't fit them yet because I have to wait for this canopy to completely dry. It's dry, but touch dry, but it's not dry enough to really manhandle. And I'll show you that in a bit and you'll see. But what I've done is I've used a technique that I've called gravity forming of PETG, and you'll see what I mean when we take a look in the kitchen. All right, so without further ado, let's get on with it. It has been commented that I haven't fitted the anti-spin-strakes to the Chipmunk yet, so that's going to be the next project. So I'm going to find the middle of this, and here's an easy way to do this. Lay the ruler on the object you want to divide by 2. Lay it on at a diagonal, and you'll see there that at a diagonal that's 2, so the middle is 1. Just a quick and easy way of doing it rather than measuring it, dividing by 2 and then trying to be exact. Okay, and then if we join those 2 dots, that should be divided in 2. So now all we need to do is to cut that in half. I could go down to the bandsaw, but to be honest I think I could probably cut it quicker by hand. This is just a plywood tongue depressor. You can get them from medical supplies. Use them for stirring paint. And there we go. That's those 2 done. Now at one end where it meets the fuselage, it could actually be cut short, but I need the full length of this, so maybe I won't. I'll just leave it like that. Just going to true up the edge because I can see it's just kicked a little bit just there. There we go. Make sure it's nice and flat. I'm just going to take the fluffy bits of the wood off. Same with this one. Now you may wonder why I'm using a stirrer stick to make this, but you'll see if we compare to the full size photograph that you'll see that the bit that protrudes out of the aluminium shroud is a semicircular section of what looks like a big lollipop stick. It's very, very odd. Right, now we need to find some lithoplate. Those that have watched my videos before will know I prefer to score and to bend my lithoplate. Keeps the edges nice and flat. So what we're going to do with this is we need some material that is as long as probably about, so we need that bit exposed down the bottom there, and the rest of it we need to make into a fold. So what we need is the width of the stick, which looks like about 1 millimetre. Then we need the thickness of the stick. Then we need the width of the stick again. And then we need the depth. And then we need the thickness of the stick one more time. Okay. Just going to highlight that thickness again because I just drew a little mark and I think I want a slightly better line than that. So if we join those together, and we need to cut it along there. In fact, I'm going to make sure that is 90. So now we can cut that along there and along there. I'm also going to cut this extra bit off here because it's actually of no use. So that's gone. And there we have our part cut out without kinking it and keeping it nice and flat. Now we have to think about how we're going to fold this because it could be quite awkward. I happen to have 2 steel plates that a friend gave me some time ago, and I'm going to try and just bend it over, keeping it sharp as I can. Now what I've done is, because I've used pencil to mark the lines, when I'm running my finger along it, I'm rubbing the pencil off, so that was possibly not a good idea. So I'm using the flat edge of this square to give me a nice sharp, actually that's marking it, I don't want that. Then we need to turn it again. Like that. Okay. Now we need another flange right on the edge. That should do it. I can get it to clamp at that, and it has. So there's a 1 millimeter section in this, and I'm just going to lean it over. To get a really sharp line, what I should have done is scored it first. Okay, that's that one done. And then once again, we bend it over like that. And I'll get in with the nice bit of the edge of hard metal, nice true metal to set the flange just nicely. Now what you'll see we've got, it's a bit rough, and if this was a true scale model you'd probably go to a little bit more effort. But that goes in the middle of that and peeks out at the end, like that. And then this section is squashed onto the wood, with some glue in the middle there. And then these flanges can be set just by pressing it against the bench, getting the angle right. So this line along here, which is where the fin attaches to the fuselage, I did cover it with some film before painting it, but it's left a ridge anyway, which is a bit unsightly. So in a way, this is going to help us out a bit by hiding that ridge. And because that's along the thrust line, we just need to follow that, really. So as you can see, it's nice at the back, but at the front the flange needs to be at this angle, so we're going to change that. If you look at the full size, you'll see that it's not horizontal, it's slightly angled. So I think that would work quite nicely. Now I'll flip it over and do the underside. Okay, what we're going to play with today is something that may well be a complete and utter disaster, but I'll show you anyway. You never know, it might work. Been thinking about it for a while, so it should work, but we'll see. So, as in a previous video you'll have seen, I've cut out the sections of the canopy from my old Chipmunk. This is just in case it all goes wrong, but the way it's going, I think I'm going to end up using this one. But anyway, so I've cut out those openings, and then I've made a mask that is inside of that opening, so it's slightly smaller. And what I'm going to do, well, you'll see what I'm going to do. In fact, I might just try and peel it off. So I taped these two pieces together while I did all the work on it, because I really didn't want them to move while I shaped and cut, etc. and that's worked really well, but the tape's been on a little while, so it's a little bit more adhered. So it's not quite so easy to take off. I've also put a pen mark on the inside that covers both parts, so I can reorient them, or reorientate. Have I got that right? The two parts to be the same. This last bit off. Of course, it's not coming off very well, is it? It shows you. If you leave masking tape on too long, it really does stick. It can be quite difficult to remove then. It's been on a couple of weeks while I've been faffing around trying to think how I'm going to do this. Just like to say a big thank you while I've got a few minutes to everybody that's subscribed. We hit 750 subscribers this week, which is quite awesome. I really didn't think that there'd be that much interest in scale aeromodelling. It is a bit of a niche market, or a niche audience, I suppose, but I really appreciate you you subscribing and joining in and chatting on the in the comments fields and stuff. It's very satisfying to know people are still interested. Right, so there we have our former, I think I'll call it. So I'm just going to lift that, I'm just going to roll it straight over like that. So this is the material I'm going to use. So I need to make the amount of material that sticks to the, not sticks, but is trapped in the frame, in the frame we'll call it, is as big as possible. So, but I don't want it sticking out. And as I say, this may not work. So that goes like that, more or less centrally. Actually, I can see something there that's going to be a problem. Now this is 0.56 PETG clear plastic, and put it back on top. And I've left the two layers of protection. So a clear, it's a printed plastic label on one side and a sort of just plain plastic on the other. So now what to do, and these are 25mm bulldog clips. Well, they're like bulldog clips, but they're over arm clips, so the arms can swing out the way. Now these are 25mm, and they're actually just a fraction too small, because if you see, I can only just force them over, so they needed to be probably the next size up, but obviously as they get more expensive, as they get larger, they get more expensive. It's the way of life, isn't it? So we put these around the edge. And clamp it as best we can. I'm going to use as many of these as I can get around the perimeter of this. Now you need to make sure you're using a metal clip, because you'll see what's going to happen shortly. But effectively we're going to use heat. So if you're using plastic clips, they'll melt. So this is how we're going to do it. And I've got some more somewhere. And that should do us. Okay. Now I'll tell you what's going to happen, because when we're actually down in the kitchen doing this, I'll probably be doing it and I won't be talking. But when you vac form PETG or styrene, the plastic goes through a couple of stages. Initially, when you put the heat on it, it goes all wrinkly. And then as the heat continues to build in the plastic, it then goes all taut. Then it reaches the stage that we're interested in, and it starts to go soft. And what happens is it all sags, and it just starts to just hang in the frame. And rather than use a form, which I would normally do for a spinner or something like that, and you would push it down over a form and then use a vacuum. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to try and do this purely by letting the PETG sag, and I'll peer in through the side, and when I'm happy with the amount of sag, I'll take it out, and we'll see if that will just create what we need in quite a simple way. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's adjourn to the kitchen. So there's a lesson learned. We won't leave the plastic on when doing it like this. I usually do when I use the vac form process, but obviously this is not having the same effect. So let's try the other side just to see if the other side comes off any better. And the other side is equally stuck fast. So I ran it under hot water, and that softened it all up, and it all came off no problem. So we'll give that a dry, we'll take it upstairs, see what it looks like in the model, and we'll decide whether or not we want to keep this one or whether we want to make 2 more and change the process. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up what's in this plastic, but what's happened is it's full of bubbles, and it's actually distorted a little bit here, and I think that's where this sellotape label was on the protective film, and it left a residue which affected it. So what I'm going to do this time, those bubbles are caused by the PETG being brought to too hot a temperature too quickly. You've got to do it slowly, otherwise the air doesn't escape and it gets trapped in the plastic. So you've got to warm it up more gradually than I did here. So we're going to try again. I've got another piece of PETG. This time I'm going to remove the protective film, although with the hot water it did come away quite easily. So we'll mount it in the frame, take it back downstairs and have another go. going to stop it there. It's not a massive dish and it's cooled down much quicker, and we haven't got the bubbles, so that's good. So, as you can see, we've got no more bubbles in it, and I didn't let it curve quite as much as I did on the other one. But it's at least nice and clear. Unfortunately, that's all the scrap PETG I had, and I had hoped to get both of these out of that one piece of scrap. And if the first one had actually worked, then we'd be good to go, but it didn't. So, and there we have the curved window, and that will get bonded to the frame just like that. It's not a great big curve, but it's enough. I think that's shows that it's not flat. A lot of effort, but actually this bit was fairly easy, wasn't it? Okay, find some more PETG.